Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you. And let me express my sheer gratitude at you joining me in this incredible journey that we are going to call the Healing Burnout in Healthcare Leaders Bootcamp. Now, before I start tonight's pre-party session, which really is just the welcoming session, I just want to acknowledge that it has been an incredibly tough few days in British Columbia, where I live. And we have had significant and severe flooding, severe road failures. People are stranded all over the place. And so this is why not a lot of people are on the call tonight. But I would like to just send out my best wishes to everyone, and I'm hoping that everyone is very safe and that we can resume our normal lives as the water goes down and the province steps into repairing the incredible damage that's happened. This, like I said, this is the pre-party of the boot camp, which officially actually starts tomorrow night. And the pre-party is just a welcome and a setting of intentions. I want to say to you that for the remainder of the boot camp, starting tomorrow, we will start and end the sessions with a quiet meditation session to bring us into focus and into full presence so that we can hear the information and really ponder it and let it sink in. I know how many people will be running from work or who will have been home and work will be on their minds. So this, I find that this having a centering practice at the beginning of the bootcamp and at the end of the bootcamp really does set us up for success in the sessions. So let's get started, shall we? So my intention is that by the end of this short session today, you will be feeling a newfound sense of confidence where you once had uncertainty. You will have clarity where you once had confusion, and you will have conscious awareness that it is your duty, responsibility, and obligation to put yourself first to heal your burnout. But there's something I need from you. I need your commitment that you will finish what you start, because nothing hurts me more than seeing amazing people ask for support and learning, and then finding out that they broke their promise to themselves. So do we have a deal? Say yes to yourself. This is one of my favorite quotes. Our life and leadership is moving in the direction of our strongest thoughts. So what we focus on is what we will achieve. And this entire bootcamp, while framed by specific topics that impact burnout and create burnout, this entire bootcamp is truly about mindset. You will hear a lot about how we get to believe something and what it takes to support that belief, then how to identify and change the beliefs that no longer serve us. We need all of those components in place so that we can really move forward. My biggest revelation on how to heal my own burnout was that when I became truly honest with myself about the beliefs that I held that kept me stuck for so long, working the way I worked. So, can I get you to commit to learn and change with me over the course of the next few days? Can I get you to commit that you are worth healing and that you deserve joy? I sure hope so. I hope that in your head you're yelling yes. So let's take a minute and I'll talk about how this program came to be. So I have worked in the nonprofit and healthcare fields for over 20 years in a variety of leadership roles, right from executive director to project director to site director, most recently site director of a community hospital here in my town. My background really truly is in developing strong and authentic teams that can lead organizations or departments or sites forward, supporting those teams and their leaders in their development, and then using that strength to successfully deliver complicated projects and ensuring that change is rooted in shared values. I'm truly a people first person. And what that means is that I always place the needs of people ahead of the needs of the system, because I feel that people whose needs are being met will meet the needs of the system. So 2017 for me in my career was an absolutely stellar year. The single biggest project of my life, which was the Transition from this old hospital into a new hospital was done with an amazing team. We didn't have a lot of sleep. We had a ton of deadlines and so many balls in the air. But we had developed over the previous years such an attitude of pulling together for the greater good that this truly was a group of people moving forward. We moved from being a very small community hospital, old building, 1950s construction, to being a larger and much more visible presence. It was a fantastic move for patient care, for staff, for the community. And it fundamentally changed who we were as a team. Because this is what we moved into. The same piece of property, this picture just happens to be behind the previous picture. This hospital, this 100-bed hospital was built on the parking lot of the previous 70-bed hospital. And it is state of the art. And you may have noticed some of these people in the ads that I had been running on Facebook and other places. These are three of the amazing leaders that I worked with to pull this off. And I do have their permission to post this all over the place, but it is such a picture of pride and satisfaction, even though it's also a picture of exhaustion. But the pride and the satisfaction in pulling off this amazing, life-altering, career-altering, community-altering move. But something we hadn't really considered was that our visibility and our renewed, much larger presence in the community meant that many things were going to change for us. We had more demand on the services. We had much more organizational input. It was like we had been rediscovered by the organization. There was more and more focus on our performance because of that focus. We had more community expectation because of the scope of the change of the project and the vaulting from 1956 to 2017. It was just leaps and bounds into the future. We had more organizational expectation on us as a group and as a hospital. And as everyone knows, if you build it, they will come. We had bigger surges of patients. But one of the really disappointing things was that because of the size of the building, we had less small team camaraderie and people started to really isolate. And over time, these things all came to be because our presence in the system was so much greater. We had had so much publicity, we had so much impact, and we had changed the way patient care was viewed in our organization because of the creation of this hospital. But overall, I honestly thought I was handling things pretty well. I was the site director, which is the person who is responsible for the overall success and the movement forward of the hospital to meet its objectives. Even though not all of the departments reported to me, my job was to make sure that everything was working in synchronicity. I was down to working to 55 hours a week, and I thought that was pretty good. I was only answering text messages after hours. I wasn't answering phone calls unless, of course, I was on call. And I was pretty good at reducing the number of times I checked my email after hours, but I still checked it very, very regularly. And this was between 2017 and 2020. So if I was truly honest with myself, though, I really wasn't sleeping very well. I was typically up during the night for at least 2 hours, if I could get back to sleep at all. Sometimes I was up by 3 in the morning and I stayed up. I became too tired to exercise except for some gardening, some puttering in the garden, and even that got less and less over time. I was eating very well at home, but seldom made good choices at work. Often I didn't eat at work at all. And if I did, it could have been junk food and whatever was handy. I didn't take a lot of holidays because it was so busy trying to get all of the things organized and all of the new systems worked out and working smoothly. And then occasionally I was working extra shifts, especially on weekends because of staffing issues and leadership issues that we couldn't fill. So that was me being honest. And then COVID. COVID blew anything we thought about how much overwork we were doing out of the water. It also, unfortunately, because of the pressure and the intensity and the confusion and the lack of coordination, it amplified any negative feelings that I had about the work and the organization I worked for. It really truly entrenched my negative beliefs about how the organization functioned, how I felt that their planning was shit. I basically spiraled faster and faster into this cone of negativity that was just like a black hole. And though I would not have admitted it, it was burnout. Fundamentally burnout. But I thought burnout was for weak people, and I needed to be strong for my teams. There was things that I could do that nobody else could do. I held the history of the place. I knew what I was doing. I'd been there a long time. And I needed to, in my burnt out phase, thought I needed to show the organization how to do it properly. Total recipe for disaster. And disaster came on July 23rd, 2020. I had been nursing a pain in my neck, which I thought was a pinched nerve, for 4 days. And finally, on the 23rd, I just thought, this is just not going away. I can't stand anymore. I need to go and get a shot and get this pinched nerve away. So I'd gone to the emergency department. My ECG was fine. My blood pressure was good for me. I had talked to the emerge doc. He gave me a painkiller shot, and we were talking about physiotherapy, and I went back to work. And he had taken a blood test before I'd gone back to work. And in an hour, he called me and he asked where I was and said to me, I need you to have someone bring you back to the emergency department and don't take the stairs. I thought, oh, what's that? I just was there. I'll go again. He says, no, take the elevator and have someone bring you. And so there I was, hearing him tell me that I'm currently in the process of having a heart attack. And the only reason they could tell is because my troponin was elevated. And so I was admitted and sent up to the telemetry unit while they were watching to see what was going to happen with me. And I'm sitting on the side of the bed, kind of in limbo. The shot has started to kick in. And so the pain in my neck has gone away and I'm feeling just fine, like regular, tired, but whatever. And I'm sitting there in kind of a limbo and thinking it's just very weird. I feel fine, but my blood work is weird. So I asked the doctor to check with the lab to make sure they hadn't mixed up my blood work with someone else. And she was the first one to say to me, no, honey, you are having a heart attack, period. And 3 cents later, I came to terms with the true reality of my situation. My stress and my way of working had actually caused me to have a heart attack at 54 with no family history and no other indications that this would happen. My body was demanding that I change how I worked, and I wasn't listening. So it sent me a message that I could not ignore. So I started to change. I started meditating, which was really hard for me in the beginning. I started exercising more and better, mostly because my doctor made me go to cardiac rehab. And I was not a very pleasant patient at the beginning, but I got used to it and ended up enjoying it quite a bit. I really started focusing on using my essential oils, especially around the meditation, because it helped me to calm myself, to slow my thoughts, to breathe a little deeper, and to really just be in the moment. I started focusing on my mindset a lot because I could see from my previous way I was being that I had convinced myself that everything was fine and it was everybody else that was a problem. I worked hard on stillness, on sitting still, on being still, on doing nothing. Took a while. I started listening to wellness podcasts, reading about wellness. Most importantly, I started listening to my body and asking my body what I needed to do. And basically, I was doing anything I could to heal myself. Heal not only my physical body, but my mental state, because I was so surprised that this was happening. And that's when I really noticed how many of my colleagues were on the same path as I was. Because before this, I valued their incredible, almost laser focused attention to their work. I valued people who worked just like me. I thought people who worked and went home at 4 or, didn't answer their phones, I couldn't believe it. I thought they were slackers. I valued their workaholic nature because it justified my own. But if I was thinking about it too much, I already had known a few people who had gone off on medical leaves, and now I couldn't deny anymore that how I worked and how I thought about work and how I valued myself or not related to my work was my guiding beliefs about everything that actually created my reality. And those guiding beliefs created my heart attack. And that's when I realized that I needed to share what I was learning to help support my friends, because I could see that, and colleagues, because I could see where things were heading and I knew what would happen. And it's often easier from the outside looking in to point things out. So I started small. I wrote a little ebook called Getting to Om. It's a simple guide to daily meditation practice, because when I talk to people about meditation, I got, oh, well, I couldn't fit that in my day, or I can't sit still. I got too much going on in my head. Every time I sit still, I start to think and I get up and I write a to-do list. Sounded very, very familiar to me. And I also started a company called New Wellness Perspective, only because I wasn't really sure what was going to happen to me because of the nature of the job that I was in, which was always under stress. And I had a stress-induced heart attack, and I had no idea what was going to be happening to me over time. So I created these two things. And then I realized that while the website and an ebook were a good start to reaching out to colleagues and friends, there wasn't enough support emotionally to help people still working in this system. Leadership courses, in my experience, were light on emotion and heavy on system frameworks and personality traits. They were also typically, a couple of days in a massive conference room, freezing to death or boiling, listening to speakers talk about the high level of, managing stress or being a good leader. It wasn't enough for me. It didn't feel like enough oomph. So my way of helping was then I created this bootcamp, Healing, Burnout and Healthcare Leaders Bootcamp. I decided to create it to focus solely on the individual, not on the organization that you work for, not on the system that you find yourself in, and not in the current overwhelm that is the pandemic. These conditions will always be present in some form or another. So how do we strengthen ourselves to ride these waves and not get pulled under? That's my key in the bootcamp. So over our next few days together, our goal is to make a big impact on your feelings and understandings around burnout. There's 4 modules, day 1, 2, 3, and 4. Then there's a mindset session. Oh, I didn't change the dates on this slide, sorry. I'll talk about that. So day 1 is tomorrow, November 18th, back to basics. The 19th is stop being a people pleaser. The 20th is leave work at work. The 21st is how to engage your team to increase your resilience. The 22nd is mindset matters. Is burnout my choice? This will be a deep and provocative mindset session with everyone. And then the final day is action plan and setting the stage for moving forward. These online modules are designed to be more information than a 1-hour live can contain. So I will distill the information, taking a big picture look at them during the live sessions. So it really will help if you read the modules in advance. For those of you who signed up for the Dream Big bonus workshop, this will be held on the 30th of November. And that session will be a 2-hour workshop on how to be consciously creating your future. Very, very helpful, because in the middle of all of this stress, you have very likely stopped dreaming. you've stopped making goals and stopped making plans for your future, this Dream Big workshop will help you re-engage that in a very constructive and successful way. For people who signed up for the VIP sessions, which is the in-depth, more intimate and personal conversation around all of the bootcamp information, they will begin shortly after the bootcamp session completes. We'll take a few minutes for a bio break, grab a drink or whatever, have a stretch, and then come back and do our deep dives together. And we can do hot seat sessions in the VIP. So if you're struggling with an issue from one of the modules, and it relate, or you're struggling with a situation in your work life, you can present that, and we can brainstorm and problem solve using the tools that we've learned in the bootcamp to see what new kinds of solutions we can come up with. These breakout sessions, this VIP has proven very successful in gaining different perspectives and solutions for things that can be quite troubling. So tomorrow we start at the beginning, back to basics, and we will talk about how food, sleep, and physical activity impact and are impacted by burnout. And the focus of all of this will be on how our mindset got us here. We talked earlier about at the beginning and at the end of each session, we will begin with a centering exercise. And this is to help you come into the class with an open and positive perspective, and it will help you leave the class. Some of the information and things we'll talk about can get quite personal and emotional, and this will help you support any emotions you may be feeling that have been stirred up by the conversation and prepare to go back into your daily life. So what do you need to bring? Not much. Yourself, your notepad, a pen and pencil maybe. There's a wellness audit in the list of resources in the course, in the module 1. It would help if you bring that. But the most important thing, two most important things is an open mind and a curious attitude. Because if we're going to desire to see things differently, we have to be open to it. So we're probably going to poke at some of your emotions through this set of days on the bootcamp. And it's important that you be present to them and understand them and recognize that they're there. So what I would like you to do tonight, before the module starts tomorrow, is to think of an intention statement, an I am statement that will guide you for the next few days. I am safe. I am good enough. I am worth it. I am optimistic. I am invigorated. I am excited. Any kind of intention statement that you can put together that will guide you and help you ground yourself in the material. So once you come up with that I am statement, please write it down and put it somewhere where you can refer back to it often. If you feel comfortable, post it in the Facebook group for other people to see and to be supportive of others. I will make sure that there is a post in that Facebook group just for the intention statements. Then put it on a sticky note, put it on your fridge, put it on your computer at work, put it on your iPhone, put it in a place that you can keep seeing it repeatedly during the day and in the days to come, that you can bring yourself back to why we are doing this. Okay. That's the homework for tonight. If you have any questions, please post them in the Facebook group and I can answer them so that everyone can see them and that we can keep track of some of the concerns and questions that come up over the few days of the bootcamp. And we can circle back to them if they come up during one of the modules or all of the modules, and we can come back to them at the end when we're wrapping up. I am really super excited to be starting the bootcamp tomorrow, and I hope that you are too, because I know that a new mindset gives you new results. It may seem a stretch for you to believe that right now, but trust me, I have seen this work on people in healthcare, doing leadership roles and redefining their roles and their lives first, and how work impacts that, instead of how does life get, incorporated into work. This is how do you impact or incorporate work into your life. So I hope you have a really good evening. I hope you are safe wherever you are. I hope you have a great sleep, and we will see you tomorrow at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time here on Zoom. There should be an email, a calendar reminder or an email coming out to you tomorrow. And I really look forward to getting started in the work with you. Have a great evening, everybody. Good night.